Santiago Canyon College and the CIF State Division I Girls Volleyball Championships. Edison over Menlo Atherton 25-20 in this best of 5 for the title. The fans are fired up, and why not? Not only do we have volleyball championships, but Spectrum proudly brings football action next week. The SoCal Regional Championships. Some of the best teams in the entire nation going to do battle in their push to the state championships in Sacramento. Friday at 7:30, the 1AA Championship on Spectrum Sports LA. And then Saturday, Division 1A at 7:30. Check out Spectrum Sportsnet for the local listing so you don't miss a snap. We won't miss a serve here, Megan Riza.
Well, speaking of that high school football, Edison, their football team, very storied, another one of those storied athletic programs, is out playing in their CIF final tonight as well. So this is a big match, big day for Edison High School. They have a lot of fans here. They bussed from the school. They're here at the volleyball game and are heading out to the football game right after.
Yeah, that's true. That story that we heard about the athletic department getting the bus to come here for the volleyball and then go to La Mirada for the football game. What a great show of support by the athletic department. The students get involved, get on board, and they were behind their team. They've trickled in here and were successful. Set number 1 to Edison. 25-20, and both teams were a little bit tentative at the beginning. Maybe like a boxing match, you see, just feeling each other out, getting the nerves out. But we really got humming there late in game number 1. I expected more in the game 2.
I agree. At the end of that set, I feel like this set is going to be a lot more of those long rallies, a lot more of those scramble plays. We saw there at the end from Edison using those shots and getting those tough plays. A couple of pancakes as well.
Set goes outside for the first swing. That was Denison dug up, but a net violation. The freshman libero, it's Erica Fisher for Menlo Atherton in the white jersey. Both liberos wearing white. But Fisher kind of coached one-on-one on the Menlo Atherton side by the assistant coach, Alexa Rumeliotis, who is actually a senior at another high school where she transferred after playing on this team. A really unique story about that relationship between last year's libero and this year.
You have to have such a passion and love for the game to be able to take time away from your schedule and what you're doing to come out and coach your peers and hang out and get everybody better.
And just as you predicted, Megan Riza, a nice long rally for the second point of this set 2-0 Edison. Hannah Phair with the put away.
She's going to be such a great addition to UCLA's CIF program.
Tough serve down the line, put DeSanto on the ground. Just a free ball to Edison. Sparks into the middle. Good connection there. Maybe the best we've seen so far from the middle. That's Kristen Austin, who we saw miss earlier.
It's just about getting settled in. This is the second set where everybody's familiar. They know what to expect, and it's making adjustments. It's going to be a big match here, a big rotation for Eliza Grover having to block Hannah Phair.
There's Grover on the attack. She's dug up Edison with a chance for 4. Not yet. Just a little roll shot to them. Denison slides in. Oh, big block at the net. That's what they needed. That was Letvin getting her hands all over it.
And this is a huge rotation for them. If they can shut down Hannah Phair, maybe gain some points. Blocking is certainly the emphasis right here, just to start building some momentum like they are.
Well, great fire for Levin to get that block and then go back to the service line. And another connection in the middle. Kristen Austin, the junior, puts it away cross body.
Edison hitting over 200 in that match compared to Menlo, just under 100. As we're seeing though, Menlo just getting settled in a little bit more. Edison needs to start reading a little bit better on the block. We're seeing Menlo get comfortable, get confident, have some, one-on-one opportunity swings.
Well, both those numbers you mentioned in terms of hitting percentages, hitting low for the team total. So the numbers do tell the story that we saw, which was a little bit of nerves maybe and generally a lot of errors. On cue, there's another error. That one just a little bit long by Salas. Looks like Kirby Knapp, the captain for Menlo Atherton, asking for some clarification on a call by the ref or maybe a non-call. 5 serving 2, Edison out to an early lead. Their setter, Lindsay Sparks, back to serve. Take pass. Saved by Knapp, and DeSanto flies in. That's a little bit of a beat shot from Phair, like kind of a jumbo, maybe jumbo shrimp to the corner, but it goes long for a point to Menlo Atherton.
Nice snap on the ball. She's trying to go for that deep shot. Just has a little bit too much power on that swing.
One of the things that we tend to see from the beach players, and we'll see if this rings true through the evening, is they hesitate at going after the block. Because in a beach match, you're so conditioned to see a lot more court and shoot around a block. Versus indoor with 6 players, you really want to challenge the block a lot more. And sometimes you end up making errors because you hit it out when you're used to playing on the beach. We'll see how that resonates here. Another missed serve, sorry.
I think it's just so much fun to see, you know, how the beach game has really permeated all of indoor, and it's really reshaping volleyball and the future generations like we're seeing here of these high school girls and the way the game is going to be going, you know, in the very near future.
Well, we talked about Hannah Phair there with the service, but the setter for Edison, Lindsay Sparks there, flicking it back over her head for Taylor Gray put away, headed to Pepperdine next season to play both indoor and beach. Great volleyball tradition that they have in Malibu, and Lindsay Sparks can be a part of it both indoor and outdoor.
And that's tough. Going through, I mean, once you play through a college season, you understand just what kind of toll that takes on your body. You have all the conditioning, all the practices, you know, community engagements that you need to be at. So being able to repeat that and keep yourself healthy is an accomplishment in itself.
Tough serve by Hannah Phair, an ace, and a substitution on the Menlo Atherton side, trying to find a combination that works. Chloe Johnson coming in. She listed as a libero, had an injury earlier this season, which allowed Erica Fisher to come in and play a little bit. She's been on fire as a libero for the rest of the year, much like maybe a Tom Brady type of situation years ago for the Patriots. Here's some of that scrappy play we see for both sides that we've talked about. DeSanto letting it rip. She really rears back and fires when she gets a good one.
She has to be the priority for the Chargers. She's receiving sits anywhere she's out on the court, primarily in the back row, again in the front row. We haven't seen a ton of the middle attack from the Menlo Bears, so I would put my priority as the middle blocker, kind of leaning to that pin.
Well, the Bears keep it alive. There's scrappy defensive play on the tip by Edison. And now a soft block. Chloe Johnson just in. A couple of good digs for Chloe. And DeSanto with the defense on their heels, now slowing it down with the tip.
Well, she's just been taking rip after rip after the ball, so when you do that, defenses adjust. They, you know, set up maybe a little bit deeper, so that's her just using her vision, seeing that that defense is, you know, further back and taking that short shot.
Phair that time, passing deep from in zone 1, having to transition all the way to the pipe. Maybe an ill-advised set that time, and resulted in an error and a 1-point lead.
Well, we're seeing Menlo kind of gain some momentum here, so at that point, Edison is trying to go to what they know works, and that can't do.
Menlo seems to be going after Hannah Phair as well. That time the service goes off the senior's arms for an ace. We're tied at 8.
Well, it's tough as an outside hitter. You have to wear so many different hats, and you know, you can't really let anything phase you because you have to be on the entire match.
DeSanto taking it overhand. It's a 2, tipping but blocked. 3-man block. Good job by Taylor Gray staying up in the net. That time, DeSanto gets it through, and Phair from the back row. Another dig for the Bears. The dump by Knapp. Now Gray. DeSanto. That one lands just in bounds for the Chargers, finally getting some attention at the net.
There's that double block that they needed. It was an out-of-system pass, so good job by them to move over, recognize that that set's not going anywhere else but to the pin.
And on the missed serve, want to make sure we recognize that was Maggie Gunther, the middle blocker, just a sophomore, really working in transition to get out there and make that block. 2-person rather than just leaving Taylor Gray solo, getting the block against DeSanto. 9-9. Game number 1, Dustin Abel and Megan Ariza for the Division I State Championship. Southern California Regional Champ Edison leads against Northern California Regional Champ Menlo Atherton. 10-9 in set 1. and 1-0 in this best 3 out of 5 match. Tough serve in the corner, good pass by DeSanto. Grover catching a little bit of fire. She has swung from all over the court. We saw her hit a quick. We see her from the right and there in serve receive from the left.
That was a really great swing. Edison actually just a little bit too early on that block. They were on their way down. Didn't have enough strength on it to push that block back.
A good set easily by Sparks, Kristen Austin with the kill.
They've really established that connection. It's so important. It's alleviating some of that pressure on their pin hitters. That's why you're seeing Cassidy Dennison take some huge rips of the ball.
Levin, the lefty from the right, dug up. Menlo Atherton really moving their hitters around. Now Grover on the right, chiseling off and Phair.
Grover, really successful. I think she's starting to get hot. If you're the Bears, I would continue to set her while she's here in the front row, utilize her height. The Chargers are having a tough time blocking it and hitting against it.
It's like a net violation as the middle blocker was traveling from the middle out to the right. Aaron Hoyle. You mentioned Eliza Grover, a former middle blocker. That's why she's so comfortable hitting those quick sets and blocking wherever they put her, causing some trouble as one of the bigger bodies out here in a more defensive-minded match. Good block by Kiana Salas.
I can tell you it's any middle blocker's dream to be able to play, you know, all across the front row, have the opportunity to maybe even go back row. You always want to do what you don't do, right?
Yeah, well, Coaches Anderson substitute her out, at least for the back row for now. Chloe Johnson comes in to serve. DeSanto out of the back row, just out. You can tell she wanted that one. Very frustrated at the error to make it a 1-point deficit. Menlo Atherton trailing.
But I'm still happy with that swing as a coach, being able to come up and not shy away, not be timid. This is the championship state finals. You have to be aggressive.
Out of the back row, Edison. Good heat, but dug out by Johnson. Free ball to Edison. The left side, that's Phair, putting it away for the Chargers.
Anytime that you get a free ball pass, you want to capitalize on that opportunity. Your team is in system. I think it was a great decision to go out to Hannah instead of setting the middle blocker.
This time back to Gray. A little off speed, but she turns it out of bounds. There's that beach shot. Great shot on the beach. You can keep it in at least. But maybe you want to challenge the block a little bit more in transition.
I think that was a smart shot. Libero was, I think, about 4 feet away from that end line. So she had a lot of court in front of her.
The X2, Phair comes around. He puts it away into zone 1.
That's so difficult to defend against if you haven't seen it. You're not sure how much film that these guys have on one another and how recent it is. So now that they've seen that, the Bears have to communicate that for the next rotation.
Well, the recent success that they had with running the middle now opens the opportunity, like you were saying, to run some of those combinations. If you don't have the connection in the middle, it can't really be a combination because the first player coming through, the first attacker, isn't even an option.
It's all about keeping blockers honest and respecting a certain attack. If you don't have that middle attack, establish, like you were saying, it makes it difficult.
Taylor Gray, high point from the right. She's really excelled in the playoffs, just a junior, so she'll be back next season. One thing she would love to have is a state championship ring when she returns.
I'm really impressed with her game. She has a lot of power on her swing. She's using those finesse shots when it's there. She has a nice little bounce to her too.
Oh, good effort by Kirby Knapp, but to no avail. It's an ace serve and a 3-point lead. Edison 17-14 in game number 2. They won game number 1, 25-20 in this best 3 out of 5 Division I state championship. Dustin Aval and Megan Riza courtside for the state title matches. Edison in their first championship match for the state school history. Or it would be the first championship in school history. They actually were here in the state playoffs 12 years ago, and Matt Skolnick, their assistant coach, was was an assistant coach in 2004.
If I'm Menlo Atherton right now, they were here in this position last season. They lost and, had that bittersweet taste in their mouth all year. Their coach had a talk with the team, about being in this moment. They worked so hard, but the last thing that they can be thinking about right now is, oh no, here we go again. This is what happened last year, and start to think those negative thoughts, because it translates. It translates through body language. It translates through effort. When you don't believe that you're gonna, come out on top of this situation, these girls have to stay confident, have to communicate with one another, and be encouraging.
That's a great point, Megan. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. The gift of never being here before that Edison has, they don't know, they don't have any expectations. They're just here playing, whereas that might be in the background in the psyche of Menlo Atherton. So many of these players having struggled in that match last year and then coming all the way back with such a great season. 25, 26 games won in a row. They've won 29 out of the last 30. They've actually come out on top, and out of that timeout, quick couple of errors, and all of a sudden it's 19 to 14 now.
And that's hard too in high school when everything's a lot of peer oriented, and they're hearing a lot from their peers. Oh, how come you didn't take home state championships? You don't want any of that pressure. These girls are capable. It's a huge credit to them to be back here in the state finals. Only one team from the northern region and the southern region makes it. It's a huge accomplishment.
And they have dominated in their region, so kudos to them to get back. It's tough to be back here. They're battling in the second set. Quick set in the middle, but a good dig by Fisher. Now violation negates it. Tough to see that when you're a defender. You make a great play and pop it up, and the down ref has his whistle blown.
Just a little deflated. Takes a little bit of the air out of your balloon.
20 serving 16. Taylor Gray with that jump serve. Bump set outside. Grover on the left. Another bump set, but Dennison puts it away into the corner. Good spot by Cassidy Dennison in that back corner.
Well, as a shorter outside hitter, you're going to live and die by using those corner shots, being able to have that vision to work around blocks, see where you have those open gaps. And she's not timid at all in her swing. She's going after it.
Matt Skolnick giving words of encouragement to his team. One of the interesting things about the Chargers, 35-8 on the season, 9-1. They won the Sunset League. They're co-champs with Huntington Beach, their crosstown rivals, and then beat Huntington to get here. So they were league champs, co-champs. They unfortunately lost out in their CIF sectional, but they have an opportunity to be state champions above and beyond everything.
It's just a funny situation.
Weird how it works out, but with the competitive equity that they try to gather with the different sections and open divisions and Division I, you get that opportunity to keep playing even though you might struggle earlier in the playoffs. It's really interesting. These girls tend to stay so present in terms of what can we do now? We can't look back and say, oh, we lost to so-and-so or we struggled in the sectionals. And that's got to be tough at 15, 16, let alone 20 years later, trust me. 21-16, out of the timeout. Taylor Gray bombing that jump serve. A couple times now we've seen her miss out of the timeout, so a good job by Coach Fletcher Anderson, Menlo Atherton, to take that timeout and challenge the server.
It'll be interesting to see what if Matt, persuades her to, stay jumping or keep her feet on the ground and just get the ball over the net.
Austin dug up. Menlo Atherton chance for a point. Point to Menlo Atherton on an error by Cassidy Dennison. We haven't seen many by the senior leader.
And that kind of conversation between player and coach of, hey, I want you to be up and I want you to stay down is almost an indicator of trust. Like, oh, I don't trust you that, you're going to get this over and do whatnot. And that can translate to the front row when you're kind of thinking that in the back of your mind.
3 in a row out of the timeout. On the block that just lands in for Menlo Atherton, 19-21. That missed serve kicked off a little bit of a run. That's what they seem to do, which is why out of the timeout, you never want to miss that serve, because giving that coach exactly what he was attempting, Fletcher Anderson there, giving his team some instructions and words of encouragement. He's experienced, just his second year as a head coach for Menlo Atherton, but he went to Long Beach State, Golden West, and then played professionally in Europe. And his wife, the assistant coach Lauren, played collegiately in Santa Clara, so an experienced coaching staff for Menlo Atherton. They want to stop Cassidy Dennison. 6 kills from the left side. Dennison and her twin sister, Danny, part of the senior core for the Edison Chargers, who wants to go ahead and win this set. Because there's a huge difference, Megan, between being up 2-0 and being knotted at 1-1 going in set 3.
Absolutely. It's all a confidence game, all a momentum game in volleyball.
Edison turns it down the line. There's her 7th kill.
That was painted right down the line. That's her getting back into her rhythm. Let's see if she's up here, if she keeps her feet on the ground for that serve. That ball is coming so fast at you. It's so difficult to defend.
22-19.
And there she goes with the jump float. Jumper.
Oh, the roof by Hannah Phair. 23 now. A couple of quick points. Edison close to closing it out.
Huge block. Nice press at that last second.
Fisher the pass, double quick. But the set goes outside to Salas. Good job by Kirby Knapp to run that play and get an advantage for her attacker on the left.
It was just so important to side out, kind of quell some of the momentum that the Chargers are running away here with this second set. And like you mentioned, it makes a huge difference being up 2-0 and fighting back and being 1-1.
This serve by Alicia Levin. She's just a sophomore. Probably should be a right side player. You see left-handers play on the right a lot more often, but she's a middle.
I don't know how she does it. Excuse me. It's very difficult, I can imagine.
Set point for Edison. DeSanto into the corner. Continues to fight for the Bears. Menlo Atherton in maroon and gold. The Bears from Atherton, California, up in the Palo Alto area. And Edison High School in the green from here in Orange County, Huntington Beach to be exact. Edison won set number 1. They're trying to go up 2-0 in this best 3 of 5 for the state championship in Division 1. With that put away by Hannah Phair, they're up 2-0. Edison High School, the home team here in Southern California, and playing pretty close to home, with set number 1 25-20 and set number 2 25-21 behind the fans, and Hannah Phair on the left. They'll come back with set number 3 on Spectrum.